to the Wonders of the Wade, and we are delighted to have one of the Wade board members with us here who knew and took classes from, and hence why she knew, Clyde S. Kilby, who started the Wade collection. It's an amazing painting painted by the sister of our board member, Marilee Melvin. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Clyde Kilby before we talk about this painting specifically? Since you had him as a professor, what are your memories of Kilby?
Actually, I learned about Dr. Kilby from my mother, who also had him as a professor.
Oh, you're kidding. I didn't know that.
So Clyde was one of Mom's favorite professors, taught literature. When I came to Wheaton to study, she said, no, you need to, try to get a class with Clyde Kilby. And during the time I was at Wheaton studying with him, my family got to know him better. And Clyde and Martha would come out to our home in Oak Brook and have dinner with the whole family around the table. And Dr. Kilby kind of fell in love with my family and vice versa. And then my sister Deborah formed a friendship with them through that. And when she was working in Wheaton, after her education at Hillsdale College, she would walk over to their home and sit in their garden and get to know them better. And then she had studied with some great painters. Deborah desired to paint Dr. Kilby and had a photography session with him, seated in his porch library in a familiar housecoat, reading his favorite work by C.S. Lewis, Till We Have Faces. So the painting was commissioned by Leanne Payne, who was one of Dr. Kilby's star students. She had this painting in her home for years. Wow. And then she decided to give it to the Wade before her death, which was a great decision.
Line of God in the Dock, because they're purple and white. This is a line of Letters to an American Lady. And of course he's reading his favorite novel, Till We Have Faces, which was also Lewis's favorite among his fiction writings.
I sat right here many times as a student with him sitting there. This was an old raggedy green velvet chair, and that was his red house coat that he wore. I remember my senior year, we had this, studying That Hideous Strength, and our classroom was an overheated chemistry room in the old Breyer lab, which has now been destroyed. But Dr. Kilby came in, and it was very hot in the room, and the room was very crowded, and he came in with a dandelion. He said, how many of you believe the Lord God made this dandelion? And it just focused your mind and your thoughts on the creativity of God. It didn't just happen. There's some thought behind it and creativity. So he made us stop and think and look.
Yeah. Oh,
we've had some
wonderful.
alum come through at homecoming, and when they see this painting, they say she captures expression perfectly. This feeling of joyful appreciation. One of them said, I felt like you're a mountain climber and someone is ahead of you and they get to the ridge first and they see the view, the panorama, and they say, oh, come up here, come look what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And so people love this painting.
I think what's amazing about him is very early on, he realized this guy named C.S. Lewis was going to be famous. And that is partly why the Wade exists, because he collected things way before they had the high value that they have now.
More than thinking this will be famous, I wonder if he saw the great worth of Lewis and knew that it needed to be preserved, and especially if he, at a college, for its students, what a great legacy.
Right.
I'm just glad that some of the men and women I know who are teaching at Wheaton now, they're not Clyde Kilby, but they very much have the same kind of relationship with the students and the love of the literature, and can bring them into learning that way.
Yeah.
I love the way she signs her portraits and paintings, Soli Deo Gloria, to God alone be the glory. And I think that's a good reminder that no matter what talents God gives you, including an intellect and heart like Clyde Kilby's, it's really for his glory.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Marilee, for adding to our appreciation of this extraordinary painting of an extraordinary man.